What is good, guys? It's Rey-Jay back with another video, and this one will break down some very important news about SPY, what's going on with the market for tomorrow, and also for CPI, and talk about something very, very big for other tickers as well. Before breaking things about all this information, though, let me just mention a couple of things. Firstly, I'm not a financial planner, so take none of this as financial advice. And also, if you guys can, please check out the Webull link, which is down below and in the description. If you sign up for Webull and deposit any amount of money into the account, you are guaranteed up to 12 free stocks, and any could be worth up to $3,000. The offer ends very soon, so check it out before they run out. With that out of the way, let's get on with the video. Anyways, when it comes to the market, I just wanted to note right over here, SPY is currently trying to hold up a bit, but it is trying to trade a little bit sideways after getting one small pump to about 441.7. And it happens to be very close to this imbalance I called out in the morning. Right here, there is this imbalance, and this very close to where we filled 441.7, about there. So very, very close. And so far, it's trying to hold up quite nicely. Now, the market is starting to trade kind of sideways for now. It was very, very choppy in the morning. It ended up coming down. Got one nice pump to about 441.7. Came right back down. Now we're starting to trade a little bit sideways, but there could be one more push coming near the very end of the day. It is a real possibility. But why is the market trading like this? What's going on for tomorrow? Just as a reminder, tomorrow is going to be the big CPI day. Why is this important? Because the Fed is going to look at this data. It's very important for the entire economy and the lives of everyday Americans. Now, for Wednesday, the data is going to be dropping at 5:30 a.m. That's like in my time, which is going to be on the West Coast. But for people on the East Coast, for people who are living in New York, and New York time is going to be the most important time I'm going to go by the way. So just want to make that clear. It's going to be at 8:30 a.m. Eastern time. So make sure you're ready for that. That is 1 hour before the stock market opens wherever you are in the world for the New York Stock Exchange and the NASDAQ. Make sure you're ready for this. This data is going to be big for CPI and core CPI 1 hour before the market opens on Wednesday. Now, that's implying that when most people wake up tomorrow morning, okay, the data is going to be out before the stock market opens, which means the last opportunity most people have in retail, the last opportunity they have is basically today. This is your last chance to secure profits on those options, exit those trades if you want to manage risks properly or do things like that. If you want to hold those options overnight, that is your choice too. It could work out nicely, but please note that there is a risk behind holding options overnight before big data events like CPI or PCE. Make sure you are prepared for that. Make sure you are well aware of the risk and be very careful during times like this. Today is your last chance, once again, to secure profits on those options. Now, to add on to this, we're starting to see the market holding up nicely, looking quite optimistic about what's dropping. We can see the Dow Industrials is actually up about 1.2%. The S&P 500 is up a little bit, and the Nasdaq's up just a tiny bit. Market is optimistic because the consumer expectations for inflation have been quite good. That's just another data report. And then we had the economic optimism index that came out was quite positive too. So right now, lots of consumers, lots of individuals are optimistic. Things are getting better in the economy. They're very, very hopeful, and that's a pretty decent sign for us going forward. Now, finally, I have some data right here that shows CPI and core CPI. Basically, the blue line is CPI. This is all items, and then the purple one is going to be all items without food and energy. That is core CPI. And you can see there's a big interesting trend here. So we start to see CPI dropping quite quickly because gas prices were the reason why it was going up this high. Energy played a big role in that. And then as energy prices have been dropping, at least to some degree for the average USA households, with energy and food starting to drop a little bit, we start to see this cause the market once again move in this direction. So that's the reason why they're dropping the way they are. But if you exclude food and energy, right, CPI is still at a higher level. So the things that are not those two metrics are still kind of hot. That's why the Fed is still, once again, remaining quite hawkish. And inflation does tend to be quite sticky. You could see cores being a little bit more sticky than the overall CPI, but it's very important to look at both of these numbers. But one thing you can notice that's very interesting and worth noting is CPI in itself is on a nice downtrend. It's continuing to downtrend quite hard. There's a good chance CPI is going to be decent for tomorrow. But for core, this is also downtrending, but it's a little bit hotter than CPI. So just be very careful with core. I'm pretty confident CPI is going to be decent just looking at this trend. But core, I'm not as sure about. And that's going to be the biggest metric because the Fed has been talking about this being too hot. So we're just going to have to wait and see what happens with core. Hopefully, core comes down. We want to see this thing drop even more. We want this to be aligned with expectations or lower than expected. All right. What do I think is going to happen? My best prediction would be that we're going to get a decent CPI report, and I think it could help the market pump a bit, but I'm not going to promise that. No guarantees. My strategy was this. I was holding SPY calls. I actually bought them right when we tested our EMAs around the 50 EMA, right about here. Then as the market pumped, I exited the majority of them, but I held just a couple of them just for fun. I secured enough profits to make up for any losses I could experience by tomorrow morning, just in case my small positions end up failing on me. But I am holding calls overnight, just to be honest with you guys. A very small position, tiny position. I'm okay with losing all the money in case something goes wrong with it. It's just for fun, and it could actually make some good returns if the market gets a nice bounce. So I just want to let everyone know that it's a risk I'm willing to take, and I'm only risking a very tiny amount of money. Okay, it's a very small amount of money. It's nothing too significant. So just be patient and be well aware of these risks, okay? Make sure you're aware of them and just be very, very careful. So for the majority of the day, we're likely going to see lots of sideways price action. If you look at SPY, I mean, it got this small pump. It's about 441.7. That's not even that massive. It came down a little. And it's now starting to trade kind of sideways. It may continue to do this for a while and maybe get one more push up at the end of the day because the market is quite optimistic. Even if that happens, I mean, it's not. It may not even be worth it for so many people to be trading at this point because the market is just slowing down now. Uh, I would just say that remember the risks and use this opportunity to secure profits on most of your positions if you want. Not financial advice, but if you want to hold overnight through CPI, which is going to cause a massive move tomorrow morning before the market even opens, there's going to be a big gap to the upside or downside, most likely. It's up to you, right? I wouldn't risk way too much personally. I wouldn't be taking a massive, massive, massive risk going into tomorrow. I would take a very small risk, but I just want to make it clear it's your choice. Do whatever you want. I'm not giving any financial advice. Be well aware of that risk, though. SPY is now stuck between this like 442 resistance zone, between there and like 439. That's a very tight range, and we're continuing to get tighter. But when the market gets tight like this, right? When the market gets very tight, typically that means a big move is coming. That means tomorrow we're likely going to make a big move. For Tesla, this thing is underperforming. I told you guys in the morning that Tesla was likely going to underperform, looking at how it was looking in the pre-market. And Tesla, it's continuing to just trade sideways. It got this pump, came back down, got another pump, and came back down. And it ended up just declining, coming all the way down to 266. It is rejecting now off the 50 EMA on the 5-minute time frame, so watch that as resistance around this 268 area. And if it continues to decline, we're going to be watching, could it come all the way down to 265? I'm not really counting on that. I think it's just going to trade sideways from this point on, but there's not much else going on with it. Same thing could be said about Aapl. Very similar to Tesla, got this like sell-off, came back up 2 times, and now it's starting to slow down a bit. Watch 187.26 as our support. If that fails us, we're going to be watching 186.5. The triple Q is also looking kind of flat. It came down to about 364.69, very close to my target right there. It actually bounced off 364.62, so 7 cents away from our target where our support happened to be. It got a nice bounce, rejecting off 367.28. I would have to say we may have another like resistance right here. I didn't really mark this, but it's worth noting it was just about like right here. Super close to that like 367.25 area. It came right back down to 366, bounced off that, hit 368, very close to our resistance. Then it came down. Now it's just trading sideways, getting very, very tight, very, very sideways, if anything. And I expect it to remain like this and maybe get one more pump at the end of the day, but we'll have to wait and see on that. Microsoft came down as we expected. Nvda is just trading sideways too, not really doing much. You can see right over here, it's just not doing a whole lot. AMD is kind of flat, a little bit in the red. And besides that, Meta's pumping nicely, approaching 300. So we're just going to be watching these tight ranges and just know what the risks are for tomorrow. And with that said, I just want to thank you all so much for listening. Market to the moon is the long term is still incredibly bright, and peace out.